Right. Good morning, all brothers and sisters around the globe. Good morning. Long time no see. It's been a while. I've been away. I just came back on the second September. Only back for about just a little more than a week. And I have been really breezing around, reporting to Master about the Mozambique, what we are going to do for the mid-long term. There'll be guerrilla villages and schools. And yesterday we just reported on a hospital that we are going to plan on whether to do a holistic reconstruction. So it's a really huge project coming up in Mozambique in this Africa region. How Master was really hoping for a very to take this chance to transform Africa, um, at least in a material way, to help them to at least go up a step, and then from there to help to in that way to bring a mind a step further as well. So that's a huge thing going on. So I may not appear a lot in the Saturday sharing, but we are all very glad because we have our masters on our side, always help guide us on this path. So today we have the Jie Shifu to share with us on her journey, and also I think today she'll be sharing on the the the, the all the key teachings of Master and how we should walk this path of Tzu Chi together. So, without further ado, shall we have Jie Shifu to share with us? Guys,
Good morning, our brother and sister. Thanks for giving me a chance for sharing. In the turbid place such as our world, some places are peaceful and wealthy, while other places are full of unbearable suffering. So the Buddha uses those who suffer as an example to teach the law of karma and to guide people to recognize their blessings through observing suffering. He hopes everyone will understand that suffering arises when we create bad causes and conditions, and thus invite painful retributions. When we feel this, we avoid doing these things and create blessings instead. This is why the Buddha appears in this world. The lesson he teaches to sentient beings. He teaches by revealing all kinds of worldly appearance and guiding us, allowing you to have a complete course of study with which to understand this. So must seize this opportunity. A large flower emerges from the mud, and its fruit is inherently undefiled. The Buddha emerges in a turbid world, and his nature is inherently radiant. Master hope we can all learn from the Buddha. Although we live in this muddy, turbid, and evil world, we can maintain the purity of our minds. Like a lotus flower that emerges from the mud. Other flowers only bear fruit after the blossoms wilt, but a lotus fruit is mature when its flower blooms. This is like when we listen to and accept the Buddha Dharma. Once the Dharma enters our hearts, our pure intrinsic Tathagata nature will naturally manifest. This has always been there. That is why we are compared to lotus flowers. Once the flower blooms, the fruitlet emerges is inherently undefiled. The Buddha decided to emerge, interpret an evil world, because only in such a world can he enable sentient beings to see the developments and sufferings in the world. This is how he gave us teachings. So the Buddha said that a human life is like a dewdrop and a flash of lightning. It should be contemplated as such. Knowing that human life is fleeting, we must make good use of the time we have. Furthermore, life is impermanent, and we don't know when we will die. On top of impermanence, there is suffering. In the end, everything is empty. So, life is suffering, impermanent, and empty. The Buddha wants you to know our nature is inherently radiant. Although the world is turbid, our intrinsic nature is always pure and radiant. It is just that we have tremendous ignorance. We will return to our intrinsic of Buddha nature only when we eliminate the five turbidities of greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt. If we engage in spiritual practice of four immeasurable, which contain the loving kindness, compassion, joy, and giving, and self-giving. By live out the six parameters of giving, uphold, precept, tolerance, diligence, samadhi, and wisdom, then we will relieve sufferings and get liberation. Master wants you to drink Tzu Chi's four spiritual soup: contentment, gratitude, understanding, and accommodation. And to create harmony environment, we need to have the spirits of unity, harmony, mutual love, and cooperation. Let us remind each other on the Master's teaching and work this path together. Thanks for your listening. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jie Sifu, for the really holistic and concise sharing of what's happening around the world. That we are in this world of turbidity, but Master has given us the path of how to go through this, what we should remove, the 5 turbidities, and how we should, together with the 4 immeasurables, and work together with harmony, unity, and so on and so forth, to make this world a better place in a very concise way. Should we now have Huang Sifu help us summarize?
Okay, no. Okay, everyone, morning. Thanks for Master Jie give you the sharing just now. Actually, even though recently since Master's been give us the lecture talk regarding the chapter, the new chapter, which is on chapter 20, Nervous Lighting of Bodhisattva. Even though for Master Jie, where the PPT that she prepared, the content inside doesn't not the masters give us for the teaching recently, but I think it's already very linked together. Why I want to say just like as we back to this page, as I think that yeah, this one. And actually for the new chapter 20, Nervous Lighting Bodhisattva, in his cultivation, Master say that actually he sees everyone's good people, and because to him, to the Nervous Lighting Bodhisattva, for him, what he sees is like everyone have the innate Buddha nature, so no bad people in front of him. Even though those who are scolding him or and do some bad or any give him a lot of obstacles or whatever. So is it the same that like Master been always told us, and for this PPT show that like Buddha say, although the world is in turbid and our intrinsic nature is always pure. This is what the Buddha always taught teachers, and Master always mentioned this. That means that we never underestimate ourselves and other people as well. So I think for the whole PPT that Master Jie gives us the sharing, I think is really linked to, because we believe that the flower, the lotus flower, can get blossom and can get blooms, and because he never underestimated of the mud, the muddy point. Because he believed that the mud itself can provide nutrition, because all elements that we have in the world, they are definitely have is on ultimately potential. So flower can make a beauty, but the muddy can provide nutrition. So they all are, we are linked together. So everyone's the same, no bad people or good people. Even though for us we are still have our bad habitual tendencies. So this is just want to give some feedback regarding our masters here. So maybe I think Brother Yuping will have a wonderful sharing, because he just back. Okay, I pass it to Brother Yuping. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I think with Huang Sifu and Jie Sifu sharing, which gave me a lot of enlightenment, I feel, because from Jie Sifu's sharing, she gave us an understanding that although we live in this world of turbidity, but we all have this intrinsic nature that is pure and radiant, that should not be defiled, that will not be defiled by the world, but it's only covered up by all the ignorances. But then again, looking at it and in another way, that's from Huang Sifu, she reminds us that actually when we look at the lotus or the mud, they are not, we should not compare them as okay. when we compare between the lotus and the mud, it's not like I'm the lotus, you are the mud. It's not like I'm more pure and then you are the dirty things. Okay, so it's not in that way. And so Master said that phrase that yes, lotus grows out of the mud and is still pure, but the nutrient of the lotus comes from the mud. Without the mud, there will not be the flower. It will not have the nutrients. So in that way, actually, we shouldn't call them. No, maybe for example, maybe we don't use mud. This word has that negative connotation. It's nutrient. Okay, it's lotus and nutrient. Lotus and nutrient. They are the same. They are like cause and condition to each other. They are linked together. And it's not that one is better, one is worse. Everything is the same compared together, which when we link to what Master's teaching of the Lotus Sutra for this period of time on the chapter 20, the never slighting Bodhisattva, it really brings out this idea when everyone and everything around us is our teacher. We can grow from all of them. So when everything is our teacher, that would mean that everything is our nutrient. When everything is our nutrient, when we see everything as our nutrient and not our poison, then we grow from everything. And so this everything around us, it really includes not just the beneficial friends, but also the not so beneficial friends, but also every single thing that's happening around us. It becomes a mirror for us to learn from. And looking at this turbidity, the so-called world of turbidity, it actually showed us the truth of what the law of karma is, what the law of cause and condition is. So when we observe this world with a mindful eye, we can see the wisdom around it, how this world really works. And by knowing how this world really works, that's when we can use the working of this nature to try to transform it as much as we can, to make the causing conditions a more relevant, a more beneficial one, a more benevolent one. Just take for example, Mozambique. It began, of course, with a disaster, Cyclone Ida. And of course, through a disaster, there's a chaos, there's death, there's sufferings, we heard a lot of those stories. But it, of course, is possible to transform such sufferings into something even higher. So, for example, I just accidentally closed my PPT. Maybe let me just take 5 minutes to share a few photos of what we have taken this time around, which I hope to use it as like an example of what masters have shared, and this is what we have seen. So I've been to Mozambique twice. The previous time was for 56 days, and that was during the emergency period of time when we went there, really seeing the suffering and then doing the distributions. And so that's why globally everyone was pouring their love in to help to gather, for example, the building materials, the tools, and also the seed to help them to regrow the plants again. And so on behalf of Mozambicans, I find myself half Mozambicans already. I want to thank everyone again and again for love. Because of you all, so all this transformation is possible. So that's why. So now I would like to present the result of a very quick one of what we have done. So of course, this photo we have seen before, and we all know who is the little girl, right? Hong Shui. Her name is Shia. Shia is the local name for flooding. So that's her name. So we all know her stories. The mother was running when the flood came, and then She only managed to climb onto a tree. But of course, we got to imagine that it is at night. It is at night, and we all know that in Mozambique, especially this region, there is no street lights or whatever electricity. So when it's dark, it is dark. There's just nothing. So you can imagine when you're sleeping, and then suddenly you feel that the water is coming in. You really don't know where you should come. You should run. And so this pregnant lady running, found this tree, tried to climb onto it. Of course, all this movement made her, the pain on the stomach, and then so she gave birth. And then the husband, while standing below, actually this time around we went to ask a bit more details to realize actually the husband wasn't standing below the tree because the tree is actually quite high. So he has to with his leg clamp onto the tree, and then with his hand holding the Africans, they have this call it a towel or a cloth, the African cloth, to catch the baby. And after catching the baby, he has, of course, the next problem would be how to cut the umbilical cord. Yes. How do you cut the umbilical cord? There's, of course, no scissors around or something. So they were describing that they wanted to use like stones or like leaves to try to cut it, but they couldn't. So at the end, what they did was they tear a piece of the African cloth. Also, you got a string. They tied around the umbilical cord, and then they did this. Okay. Of course, when we heard it, was like, oh my goodness, this is very painful. It's very painful, but that's what happened. And so, of course, they started running again to the nearest clinic, but the nearest clinic is already flooded to the first floor, so no one really could help them. And so they went to the highest ground, that is the highway, and they stayed there for 1 week, and drink from the flooded water. And this was the place they lived in. And this time round, when we went to see them, the little girl is now happy and cute with very big eyes. So cute. She's really so cute. Oh my goodness. And then all the volunteers were like, oh my goodness. And then we invited her to come and had video conference with our master and and everyone again in Taiwan. So oh my goodness. So cute. And then of course, then we had our video conferencing. We were discussing with everything, and the wife, the mother, Lucia, she's only 90, and husband also. They wore their best costume. I think that's their wedding costume or something, but that's their best costume to come and meet the master. And so the whole family together, and also the younger sister. The elder sister. This is her Shia's elder sister was also around. And so the whole family together, and then we were having this video conferencing. We continued with all our agenda, and then this little Shia, while listening, was almost falling asleep. Her eyes was like closing already, but I saw her still looking at Master's photo. Like that. So we were thinking like, wow, this must be some commissioner, don't know what number, coming back. Yeah, so this little Shia, really, really cute. Yeah, elder sister. So, and also, I'm sure you will also be looking forward to, or the seeds that we have given out. How are they already? So, there's our results. This is Gao Li Cai. The cabbage. So huge, really so huge. And then the whole field we gave out tomato, onion, cabbage, and lettuce. And so you could see it's like everywhere. Everyone is it's all nice, and this huge cabbage actually to the farmers, they can sell it for 1 piece about 25 to 35 Medicash, the local dollar, which converts to about $1, about $1, one huge cabbage. So that's very nice. In fact, it really stabilized their life. And of course, because usually they grow maize and seed, but those takes much longer time. Those takes about 90 days in order to harvest. But the vegetables grows very fast, and so this really helps them to at least try to live through these few months before the maize was harvested. So this is really, really good. They are now stable. Third thing will be these tools. How are they doing? The tools are ready, and of course, we have seen houses built already. So this kind of house was built by themselves with the earth they have, because Mozambique ground is quite special. They are very sticky, so they just need to, plow the land and then add some water with their feet, try to step on it, and then put it into this mold, and then they'll make it into these bricks of earth, and then they just stack it together and put some fire below it to heat it into make these red color bricks. So they make the bricks themselves, and then they build the houses. So they can do that. But see, this is the house that they built before it looks like this. So really we can see how these tools have helped them to transform their life, to change from like this old uncle, 79 years already, his whole house collapses, so he only left the roof. He has to crawl into his house. But all our youngsters, because this kind of old uncle or auntie, they couldn't, even if they got the tools, they didn't have the strength to rebuild. And so we've had our volunteers, our young volunteers, to help and rebuild for him. So we saw him standing at the side, looking at his house being rebuilt, really looking forward to it. When we are done, he said that it is his first time able to stand up straight to walk into his house. And then of course, then they say that he finally can have a good dream. And when our volunteer heard that, we were all like crying because it feels so meaningful of what we have all done. It's really very meaningful, really transformative. And his first meal in his new house is the hot meal that we cook, Tzu Chi we cook for the whole village. And so he had his first hot meal in his new house using the spoon is actually the whatever shell covered the can, the shell, and this is his spoon. So really it's a huge transformation from 5 months ago up to now, but there is still a lot of things that we have to do. We have just looked at what we have done for the past, all the things that we distributed, but school-wise still looks this bad. It's all the tents that you have given is now broken already, so you can see time really flies, and the condition of their studying is still very bad. And so there's still a lot of things we need to do. So we have selected currently 27 schools to consider repair or reconstruction, and we have 3,000 houses that we plan to have this great village. So all in all, I just want to come back to say that although this thing happens from a disaster, and very many things has happened, yes, it's going to mark the history for Eastern Africa, but we also want to leave another mark in this history that make this disaster not just a disaster, but a chance that for these people to have met Tzu Chi. And so actually what I've given for my own sharing's title was 从陌生到莫忘, how to from this situation, this condition, Mozambique, how do we transform it until a day when they will not forget this day that Tzu Chi has came? So maybe 2,500 years later, when they look back 2,500 years ago, they will say that, when all of us are no longer around and many generations has passed, but they still, when they see these schools that we have built, gray in color with this 人字形 and everything, they will say that this was built by an organization 2,500 years ago that came in because of Cyclone Idai and transformed Africa, transformed all our life, and changed the education over here, and really made our hearts transform. Can we do that? Something that will really last. Something that is like true Dharma that will really continue on in this world. So just a little bit of elaboration and message sharing, but really in this world of turbulence, we can do a lot of things. We can do a lot of things to transform everyone into lotuses. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. So shall we pass the mic back to the chapters for the sharing to continue? Thank you so much. Thank you.
感恩杰师父，感恩黄师傅 and 感恩 Brother Yong Ping for giving such wonderful insights. We can even see the real image of the stories Master shared, and of course clearer explanation by our Sifu. Okay, today at Sri Dhammasara, we have very grateful to have Sister YY to share with us. Sister YY patient this year is going for certification in Hualien, going back to Taiwan for certification. Sister YY,
yeah,
please.
Okay. Good morning, brothers and sisters. I'm YY. Thank you for having me this morning. Very grateful to Sister Tzu Chi for giving me this opportunity to share my journey with Tzu Chi and what I have learned from TNC and Pei-Shin. I have been a donor since 2014 during my first visit to Jingsi Hall. And I wanted so much to be a part of Tzu Chi when I first attended year-end blessing ceremony in 2015. I was so touched and impressed when I saw what Tzu Chi volunteers did to help the victims of the disasters, irrespective of their races, religions, and nationalities. But because of a tight working schedule, I only had the opportunity to join Tzu Chi activities starting from April 2017 and became a uniform volunteer in August of the same year. My original intention of becoming a Tzu Chi volunteer is purely to help the people in need without expecting anything in return. But to my surprise indeed, through the activities participated, I realized actually I had benefited so much. One of the charity events that I wish to share is the Penang flood relief works, which I took part in November 2017. After seeing the situation of the disaster areas, as we can see from these field photos, and also the hardships that the flood victims had to go through, I still remember after back home that night, I was like suddenly feeling so appreciative of the neighborhood that I live in and the family members and also all the belongings that I have, which all this while I had taken for granted. And with this, because of this experience, direct own experience, I could really resonate very much with what Dr. Hualien explained in his book titled A Truism to Enlightenment, 利他到觉悟. that Tzu Chi charity mission emphasizes on the direct principle. Okay, and before that, just want to highlight the point that's after the involvement in the Penang flood relief works. That night when I back home, the feeling that I have is a true reflection of what this coming from this Jing aphorism. That is, be grateful always for everything and everyone at every moment. 时时感恩，处处感恩，人人感恩，时时感恩。Okay, this is the book by Dr. Haration I mentioned just now. Because of my own experience through the involvement in this Penang flood relief work, I could really resonate very much when Dr. Haration explained in his book that Tzu Chi's charity mission emphasizes on the direct principles. It is through the direct experience of the bitterness of life that our compassion will be inspired, and in turn, it will change the perspective on life, become more aware of our own blessings, and hence more appreciative and willing to help and serve others. The root of kindness could only be inspired by direct personal involvement and not through books or ideas. And also what is so unique about Tzu Chi's charity mission is that besides providing assistance to support the daily needs of the care recipients, the other very important goal is to inspire the innate kindness of the care recipients. Because richness is not what we have in our bank account, but what we have in our heart. It is kindness that makes us rich by heart. This is the true spirit of Tzu Chi's 济贫交富, relieving the poor and teaching them to be rich by heart. And I felt so blessed of having the chance to witness this during my first home visit, together with the Sister Tzu Chi and Sister Lei Hong, to a care recipient who has been receiving the support from Tzu Chi for about 2 years. With Sister Tzu Chi and Sister Lei Hong's continuous encouragement and inspiration, this care recipient had actually kindly donated $1 to help the less fortunate. And apart from giving the care recipients due attention and care, I noticed Sister Tzu Chi and Sister Lily have also been sharing and explaining Jing aphorism to the care recipients, which to me is a very simple yet practical way of bringing Dharma into the daily life of the care recipients. These are all the good practices we can adopt, yeah. And on the aspect of recruiting members, Musing Mukwan, initially I did it just for the sake of fulfilling TNC requirements, because I'm not used to asking people for donation. When I had reached the minimum number of members required in September 2017, I had actually stopped recruiting until I attended the first TNC class in early last year. That's when I gained so much insight about the spirit of Bamboo Bank, 竹筒精神, how Tzu Chi's charity mission has started 53 years ago with the 30 housewives keeping 50 cents each per day in the Bamboo Bank to help the less fortunate. Seeing what Tzu Chi is today, with the presence in more than 90 over countries, I'm truly convinced that even the minute amount of money can do great good deeds. This is applying the very simple and basic principle of every little makes a miracle. Doing good deeds is not just the privilege of the rich, but it is the involvement of the kind-hearted people. And converging everyone's kindness, no matter how minute, could create a great force and strength to save lives. This had really inspired me very much, wanting to do my part to invite more people to strengthen this force of kindness. That's when I started inviting friends and colleagues to chip in. And one day, when I was sorting out the resources at the recycling center, this idea suddenly crossed my mind. If we do the right thing right at the source, then not only we could optimize resources, but also could reduce the amount of trash. Thinking it would be more meaningful to start from the office first, so I had submitted the proposal to our human resource department in December last year, suggesting for the staff to use reusable utensils for internal meal receptions instead of the disposable utensils. There are so many departments within the office tower and many festive seasons and celebrations all year round. Just imagine the amount of trash that we could minimize by practicing the above simple act. Human resource support is needed to bring about a more meaningful positive impact. Actually, while waiting for the HR's reply, I managed to get the buy-in and support from my teammates to start using our own meal utensils, as you can see from this photo, since the beginning of this year. The good news to share is our HR had, in middle of this year, agreed to support the proposal. Lastly, it is actually through Tzu Chi that I formally learned about Buddhism. I'm not a religious person all these years, and going to the temple is usually a yearly event during Chinese New Year to pray for the well-being of my family members. I have the opportunity to understand more about Buddhism and the spiritual concept of Tzu Chi after attending TNC and Patient classes, as well as reading some of Master Chingyen's books and listening to the Dharma talk by Master Chingyen. Most of the time is through the iMobile and Fa Yin Ji. What I could absorb and understand is Buddha Dharma, in essence, is a way of life, which guides us to change our wrongful habitual tendencies and mistaken perspectives. What we need to put into practice into our daily life, how we should behave, especially when interacting with people. We must safeguard our action, speech, and mind, 身口意, accept the teachings and put them into practice. What is most important when we learn Buddha Dharma is to cultivate compassion. Without compassion, the spirit of Buddhism is lost. Buddha embarked on the journey of spiritual practice in order to find out the true principles, as we know, and how to enable sentient beings to be on the path towards awakening. We must put Dharma into practice so that we will be able to comprehend and understand. This is the meaning of awakening. In the moment when Buddha attained enlightenment, the first thought that came across Buddha's mind is that everyone has the same true nature as Buddha. Learning Buddha Dharma should not be just confining to chanting and praying. we must instead practice the spirit of Guan Yin in offering help to the needy. Tzu Chi is practicing walking Dharma. The ultimate destination of learning Buddha Dharma is to attain Buddhahood. Before reaching the stage of Buddhahood, walking through the Bodhisattva path to help the needy is a must. Sentient beings' hardships are Bodhisattva's spiritual training grounds. And Master Cheng has paved the Tzu Chi Bodhisattva path for us to help the people in need, which is based on Amitabha Sutra, Hualien Jing. Master Cheng charity blueprint is to create bodhisattvas in action to help the needy. Master Cheng strongly believes that everyone has the same true nature as the Buddha. Everyone can become the metamorphosis of Guan Yin and exert infinite compassion and love. The Buddha is the great guiding teacher for the wisdom life of all sentient beings. In learning Buddha Dharma, we seek to learn about wisdom life. Wisdom life is perpetual. We need to grow the roots of kindness in order to grow our wisdom life. Knowledge comes from the world, and wisdom comes from the Buddha Dharma. That's all about my sharing this morning. Thank you very much for your attention. Wishing you the best of health and happiness always.
Sister YY. Sister YY very outstanding. Actually, okay. I must reply. I'm her assistant mentor. She's my mentee. But most of the time, I find so much learning from her. Especially, okay. Actually, she has a lot of stories, but because of time limitedness, she could only share a bit. Okay, like I remember. Okay, as a mentor, okay, sleeping mentor. I remember I encouraged her to go Xun Fa, but she can't because that time she has to work. But she take it. She take it very deeply, the word, because after that she came to me and told me that she listened to Fa Yin Ji or Wisdom at Dawn on the way to work, and she even shared her learning, what she learned from Master. So I'm very touched by her because of the wisdom she has, the Dharma she has, and she's very active also joining the missions. If there's any charity visit, she's always very grateful. She always wants to drive us there, and she put in a lot of effort. Okay, the Jaga stories that she has shared just now, when it started, this person, she always complained that the family members are the one who caused her this dialysis problem. But then later, with the slowly advice, I think caring by the Tzu Chi volunteer, she understands that it is not really that so. So she understands that she herself is accountable, and she managed to transform her unhappiness. So after that, she told us that every morning she will pray to her Hindu god, and then she will reach Jing aphorism. The Jing aphorism that we gave her is a booklet in Malay. So she could actually, we asked her to, if can, every day read it and write it, so it can engrave in her. How we follow the sutra, the copy, read, write. But okay, she said she couldn't really copy, but she will read and she will recite. So every day, so it really helps her. So we understand that our 1 month visits may not be enough. So with the book, Jing Aphorism, Master Cheng Peipan accompany her, it is more helpful, and there are more other charities visits that we are going now. Hopefully in few months time we can ask Sister YY to share. It's very impactful, the one we are doing now also, the community. Okay, yeah, sorry, one more on the Bodhisattva recruitment. Sister YY is our role model on the Bodhisattva recruitment. Whoever she sees, she will speak about Tzu Chi. And I remember one time I paired with her, there were this group of Muslims people come out. Actually, it was I think blood donations. They went through a few processes. The first process, there were other people talking to them. It was not easy, but when it reached to Sister YY, I remember she managed to convince them. They understand about Tzu Chi, and they even agreed to be the volunteers and sign up. So I learned a lot from her. 好精神 courageous 好感恩 over to Hualien side 感恩
Hi, thank you, Sister Xiaojing, for giving us a brief explanation about Sister YY regarding her, what effort that she have done in the Tzu Chi mission. And I think for over 2,500 years ago, and when the Buddha mentioned about the Buddhist Sutra and the spirit, for that one, just the idea of Buddhist Sutra, that what we should do. But after 2,500 and in this modern time, and Master is directly bring us to work on the sutra, the path of the Buddhist Sutra, which is this is a real Buddhist Sutra. Just like Sister Sajin say, Sister YY is a role model for everyone to learn from her spirit, and when she want to do any Tzu Chi mission, and to share Tzu Chi, and even though by giving a Jingsi aphorism, Master's very simple teaching to everyone, and this is I think she really to live up the spirit as before we get enlightened, and this is the way that everyone will go through. Yeah, I think the time is 8 o'clock, and I think is it end for the sharing for today. Thank you.
感恩杰师傅，感恩黄师傅 and 感恩 Brother Yau Ping for such a heartfelt and wisdom sharing. Very grateful to Sister YY for her journey. We hope to hear more from her after her certification soon, in a few months, I think next month. Okay, 感恩菩萨，感恩 Thank you, brothers and sisters, for your presence. Hope that each of us will sustain the Dharma joy and take in another piece of Dharma Master and Hualien love to our life. Let us please make 3 vows to the Buddha and Dharma Master as we depart to apply these teachings in our daily life. Let us pay our respects to our teachers of life universal truth. Vows together. First vow. Second vow. Third vow. And a vow to our beloved Sifu who could join us today. 感恩师父，阿弥陀佛，感恩。See each other next Saturday. 感恩，
感恩，拜拜。
我们去找 Brother Raymond. 感恩。Okay, brother.
拜拜。